Deputy Clerk, and I'd like to call this meeting of Development Services Committee to order, please. First, a couple of housekeeping matters. If you make sure to silence your cell phones, and when you're coming up, please adjust the microphone and speak directly into it and announce your name, because we are recording this for live streaming and for digital record. The Township of Oro-Medonte acknowledges that we're situated on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe and the ancestral territory of the Huron-Wendat. The Anishinaabe include the Ottawa, the Ojibwe, and the Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. It continues today as the home for diverse Indigenous peoples, including the historic Métis community in Penetanguishene. The Anishinaabe people continue to have an enduring relationship with this land, specifically the Chippewas of Rama First Nation. The Huron-Wendat Nation also continues to pay respect and protect their ancestors and heritage on this land. We honor the Indigenous history and culture that has thrived for millennia in this territory and the treaties that bind us together as partners in the spirit of a shared and sustainable and prosperous future. We are all treaty people. Our commitment begins with acknowledging the truth so that we can move forward together towards reconciliation. May we have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
Moved by Clark, seconded by Greenlaw. It is recommended that the agenda for the Development Services Committee meeting of Wednesday, November 5th, 2025 be received and approved.
Thank you very much. All those in favor? Okay, thank you. The motion is carried. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, if you find yourself in that situation later on, please declare so at the time. May we have a motion to approve the draft minutes of the previous Development Services Committee meeting?
Moved by Shell, seconded by Hutchison. It is recommended that the draft minutes of the Development Services Committee meeting held on Wednesday, October 1st, 2025 be received and approved as printed and circulated.
Thank you very much. Any concerns, questions, or amendments to the prior meeting minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, so tonight we have, as you'll see, 3 public meetings at which we will hear from the members of the public, and after that we have 4 public hearings. In the public meetings there is no decision made tonight, and then at the public hearings there will be. I'll briefly summarize the procedure to be utilized before each meeting and hearing. Each application will be considered separately. Staff will advise of the purpose and effect of the application, provide any relevant information, note any correspondence that has been received to date, and advise of any statement received from the applicant or if the applicant intends to make a presentation. If so, the applicant will then be given the opportunity to make a brief presentation. After the presentations, any members of the public who have registered to provide comments or who are here in chambers will be given the opportunity to speak to the application being considered. The Deputy Clerk will then advise of those who've registered, and finally staff will confirm if there's been any further correspondence received during the course of the public hearing or meeting. There'll be a separate statement read at the start of each public hearing and meeting. Thank you. With that, we'll continue with item 5A on the agenda, which is this public meeting is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act to obtain public comments with respect to the zoning bylaw amendment application 2025 ZBA 19 submitted by Puspa Patel, I apologize, on lands municipally known as 214 Line 6 North. Please be advised that this meeting is being digitally recorded for the purposes of the creation of a public record. Only after comments are received from the public, township staff, and requested agencies will the Development Services Committee make a decision on the zoning bylaw amendment. Madam Deputy Clerk, has there been correspondence received on this matter?
Correspondence received from the Township of Oro-Medonte Operations Division dated October 8, Enbridge Gas, October 10, County of Simcoe Planning Department, October 21, Ken Graham, October 23rd, Township of Oro-Medonte Economic Development Division, October 27. Petition submitted by Lindsay Rice, received November 4th, and correspondence from Ken Graham dated November 5th, 2025.
Thank you very much. I'll now turn the meeting over to Jonathan Pock and Victoria Lemieux, agents, who will explain the purpose and effect of the zoning bylaw amendment application and any written statement received from the applicant. Ms. Lemieux, I presume, please proceed. State your name.
Thank you, Chair and Committee. Good evening for everybody in the room tonight and online. My name is Victoria Lemieux. I'm an associate planner with Morgan Planning and Development, and I'll be providing the presentation on behalf of the owner this evening. So thank you very much. As mentioned, the subject property associated with the proposed application is located at 214 Line 6 South and owned by Pravin Patel. Mr. Patel is here this evening and is available for any questions that may arise. Next slide, please. So the subject property has an approximate lot area of 43.5 hectares and a total lot frontage of approximately 636 meters. It is currently developed with a single family dwelling, a barn, and agricultural accessory structures. The balance of the lands are currently farmed and forested, and of course, the property is serviced by private well and septic systems. Next slide, please. So here we have the location of the subject property just south of Highway 11, highlighted here in yellow, and the property does front along the west side of Line 6 South. Next slide, please. So looking a bit closer into the actual subject property here on the aerial image, you can see the existing built form on the right side of your screen, including the single family dwelling with the light brown roof on the right side, the existing barn structure with the light gray roof, and then the numerous accessory agricultural structures with the white roofs throughout. The balance of the property, as you can see, committee, is mostly actively farmed with a mature vegetation tract essentially running through the central area of the property. It is important to note for purposes further in the presentation this evening that the area just to the south of that existing dwelling is already disturbed, and that is not currently cultivated for any agricultural purposes. Also important to note, just looking at this image, is the existing distance of that built form from the road. It is approximately 500 feet or so. So again, very well set back from the road with mature vegetation along the frontage of the property. Next slide, please. So the development proposal that we're speaking about this evening is essentially to establish an on-farm diversified use on the subject property in the form of a seasonal events venue. This venue has been designed to be in a greenhouse built form. So this has been purposely designed this way in the essence that it will have a dual function, or is intended to have a dual function. The first function, of course, providing seasonal ceremonies such as weddings, for example, and events for the community. And then when it's not in use for those events, to have ongoing farming operations, use as an actual greenhouse, similar for agricultural use. So the building itself has a total area of approximately, or just over 1,500 square meters in size. And the site does propose 100 parking spaces, inclusive of 3 barrier-free spaces. Next slide, please. So just specifically in talking regarding the existing use of the property. So as you can see on the aerial imagery, again, the primary use of this property has historically been and is agricultural. The intent is for that to remain the principal use through this application. And the proposed on-farm diversified use is proposed to integrate nicely with that existing agricultural use in a number of ways. Number one being, as I mentioned, the greenhouse will be used for year-round crop and planting in order to utilize that space when events are not taking place. Utilized to help provide gift baskets filled with fresh produce and farm products from the actual property during those events and celebrations. And as mentioned, crops, herbs, and vegetables that are grown on the property also can be utilized for farm-to-table catering events, etc. Next slide, please. So specifically, the zoning bylaw amendment application in front of the committee for consideration specifically is requesting to rezone the property from the agricultural rural zone to a site-specific agricultural rural zone. So the intent of this is twofold. Number one is to allow for that on-farm diversified use to exist on the site. And number two is to identify a number of site-specific zoning provisions that allow that use to operate. Specifically in this case, this proposal would, number one, restrict the size of that on-farm diversified use, which is in accordance with provincial guidelines. And number two is the number of parking spaces provided on the property. Next slide, please. So here we have an overview of the site plan that was submitted as part of the application. We'll zoom in the next slide, but just as an overview, as you can see, again, as mentioned earlier in the presentation, the area just to the south, the already disturbed area, is where this proposed venue is intended to be developed. So as you can see, the proposed venue space is the dark gray structure that you see to the bottom of your screen, with the proposed parking area and associated servicing provided surrounding. Next slide, please. So here's just a more zoomed in version of the site plan, specifically identifying that proposed parking area and how it would function and be located within that existing building cluster on the property. Just a couple of comments to reiterate. As you can see, the proposed on-farm diversified use is not intended to be located anywhere where there's active agricultural land. So we're not taking away any of the active agricultural area. As well, the proposed building and parking area are outside of proposed setbacks from both the wetland feature, and there is a pond on site as well. So these have been spaced in accordance with those proposed setbacks. Next slide, please. Here is a elevation sketch of the proposed greenhouse. And then on the next slide, we provide just an overview of the proposed floor plans for the main and second floor on the next slide. Thanks. So it is proposed at this stage for the proposed development to include a future kitchen area, washrooms, of course, to accommodate guests and visitors to the property, as well as proposed wedding suites for guests to be able to get ready in the space, etc. And again, utilize those spaces for multi-purposes throughout the year. Next slide, please. So as previously mentioned, the property currently has that agricultural rural zone on it, as well as is designated agricultural, as you can see on the right side of your screen, in the township's official plan. Next slide, please. So our office provided a fulsome planning justification report in support of the application. This report provided an overview of provincial interest, provincial planning statement policies, as well as provided a detailed summary of the guidelines of permitted uses for on-farm diversified uses. That's really the guidelines that we use when we're considering these types of uses to be developed. Of course, as well, inclusion of conformity statements with both the county and the township's planning documents. Next slide, please. Just specifically, I wanted to point out a couple of items for the committee and members of the public who are here today. A couple of items specifically with that on-farm diversified use guideline from the province that I was speaking of. There are a number of requirements that we have to meet in order to be able to support this type of application. And a couple of points on how this application aligns with those guidelines. Number one being that, as mentioned, the proposal will not take away any of the existing agricultural operations, nor will it hinder any of the surrounding existing agricultural operations in the area. The proposal will be contained within a new building on the subject lands and is limited in size to under 2% of the overall subject property area. Next slide, please. So as part of the application, we have provided a number of supporting studies, including functional servicing report, stormwater management report, transportation impact brief, environmental impact study, and a noise impact study. I won't go into detail of the findings of each of those reports because I know that committee has likely reviewed those in your package. But just overall, I think it's important to note that a lot of these studies are currently being reviewed both by township staff and their associated peer reviewers. So we are awaiting comments to be received back. So of course, at this point, again, we are waiting for comments both from township and peer review on these studies. And again, just important to note for members of the public that those reviews are still ongoing. So that essentially concludes my presentation, Chair. I just wanted to reiterate for members of the public, we are here this evening to listen to comments both from the committee and members of the public. The intent is to listen to those comments and try and answer as many questions as we can this evening, and then take those comments back, consider them, and then provide a written response to every comment and question back to staff before the application comes back to the committee and council for consideration. So the owner is here, so I don't know if the owner may want to make a quick remark, if that is okay, Chair, before we get into any public questions or comments. Thank you very much.
Yes, Mr. Patel, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Good evening, staff and fellow neighbors and committee members, everybody attending, on those who are online as well. Just I would like to say we're not making big development. It's a small, nicely managed venue. We are very respectful to council and the neighbors and community. So my presence over here, and thank you for this opportunity, is to just understand all the concerns, and we'll be happy to add. We're not making huge, like either environmental changes, no trees are cutting, or it's not like a big development in terms of what, but we like to understand all the concern, including we heard about noise. We have lots of operational kind of plan, and we take care of neighbors, and I would invite all the neighbors. There is need in the community, like over here, this kind of venue. And in my world, I like to invite community at my place at no charge to all the non-profit. Anything what we do, we have done lots of things, and that is I would continue to take care of all the neighbors and everybody. So thank you. I'm here to answer more questions if needed. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Patel. And thank you, Ms. Lemieux. With that, I'll open the floor rather to the fellow committee members if you have any questions at the moment, or would you prefer to hear from the members of the public first? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Madam Deputy Clerk, is anyone registered to speak either via Zoom or in person in chambers?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we've received 4 registrations. The first one is Jeremy Curtin.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Curtin. If you could step up and state your name and adjust the microphone.
Good evening. My name is Jeremy Curtin. I live at 172 6 Line South. Directly across from here, I'm Mr. Patel's neighbor. My concerns are reading the whole portfolio of all the testings that there's a lot of variance in the way they depict the amount of people they want to occupy on the site. Now, the reason I have concerns with that is I have had, a long time ago, I had water problems via sewage from neighboring houses that were inadequate. So my concern is they said originally 180 people, so 154 people plus 26 staff members, and 100 parking spots for 100 parking spots. So that's 1.8 ratio per parking spot. So each one of our townships around us has a different number. So at Barrie, we have 4-to-1 ratio. Clearview has 5-to-1 ratio. Collingwood has a 4-to-1 ratio, and Aurelia has a 5-to-1 ratio. Now the difference, because Clearview has a higher ratio, it's a banquet hall. Now, is this property going to be an assembly hall or a banquet hall? Because I think having this many parking spots would exponentially increase the amount of people per parking spot, which could go as high as 2.5 per parking spot. So if 100 parking spots is 250 people, then you also have a drop-off ratio of 10% of the people coming to the venue will be drop-off. Someone brings them there, drops them off, and picks them up. And then there's group transportation also mentioned in their township requirements portfolio, the transportation impact brief. And then carpooling, which increases it even higher. So if you add all those together, we're talking maybe 300 or more people. So the reason I bring this up is because of the septic system. The septic system is rated for 154 people. It doesn't include the staff. So if you, which is 5,544 liters a day for the 154 people. If you add in the staff, you're up to already 6,480 liters per day of affluent. And when you have a septic system that's only designed for a residential home of 4,450 liters of affluent a day, and you add those together, you're already up at about 10,000 people, or 10,000 liters per day of affluent. So my concern is if the venue does increase and grow in size over a period of time, will the septic system be will support the amount of people at the venue. So if we go up to, say, 300 people, which is a worst case scenario in my opinion, just based on what I know from septic, then your ratio is much greater. You're already at 11,736 liters of affluent per day, plus the residential, which takes you up over 20,000. So if you cut that in half, then your affluent should be rating at 100,000 or 10,000 liters per day of affluent just from the venue. Now their septic system depicts that they should have only one 30,000 liter tank and then a 100-meter distribution bed. In my experience, a 100-meter distribution bed is good enough for a house of maybe 6 bedrooms. It's inadequate. The 30,000 liter septic affluent filtration tank that they're proposing, in my opinion, will
Mr.
degrade.
Curtin, yeah, Mr. Curtin, might I just, is the position that you're taking that under site plan control, that there should be a certain number of people and an adequate professionally engineered septic system for that
Correct.
restricted number of people?
Correct.
So I think that would be the comment for planning staff.
Because we're all in an aquifer, it's a real sensitive thing. I've already had one septic system beside me fail, and
Correct.
it caused 5 years of trouble.
Correct.
Where I had E. coli. It's even registered in this form where they came and interviewed me. Mr. Patel had one of the people came, and I did say that I was concerned about the septic system because I had E. coli, but they never recorded that it was because of a failing septic system. So my concern is that if we go to the worst case scenario, the septic system's very inadequate.
Well, I think it would have to be designed though for the facility, just as it is for a common house.
Well, you see, the common house that they have right now is 1,544 liters, whereas you know the program is only 4,450 liters. It's like 100 liters differential from a house with 6 residents versus 150 people.
Okay, so we understand that the question is the adequacy of the septic system and its ongoing maintenance.
Yeah, I
to
just wanted
ensure
to
the
read all the
safety.
facts. So this is what they presented on from their paperwork that I
Okay.
brought up. So
Okay.
Okay? Thank you for your time. And
thank
the
you.
last thing I'd like
Oh.
to say is, what's the positive benefit having a venue like this located in Oro-Medonte and the surrounding area? Who's going to police the wet bar people leaving the venue? Anyways, thank you very much
No.
for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Madam Deputy Clerk?
The next registrant is Ann Honeywood.
Good evening,
Welcome, Ms.
Mayor.
Honeywood.
Hi. Good evening, Mayor, Greenlaw, and Council. Thank you very much for listening to all the constituents and their concerns. This is our home. We live here, and we care about the community. A few things that I have a concern with is one thing that I live on a farm, and my property starts at the 7th line, and I believe it's called a narrow. I'm not sure the terminology because I'm not perfect, but it goes right down to the 6th. And I guess one of my main concerns in looking at the numbers of what have you, of what Mr. Patel's group has expressed, the 6th line is certainly an endurance, not only to the driver, but to also our vehicles. It's a horrible road. I look at the cars going back and forth on that road during the spring and summer and what have you when the pavement's hot. There's going to be a lot of stress on what's there now. So I look at that as a concern. It's also a fairly narrow road, not with much shoulders. My English isn't that well, but anyway, okay. So that is a concern to me. I also have an active farm. So on that, I have cattle. And with that, I know that in past concerns with any venues in the area, there has always been a minimal distance separation. And because I've not taken because of my own health right now, I haven't taken a really active look at all this, I would ask that the planning department look at what is our minimal distance. The other thing is, my late husband was a veterinarian, and a big concern is animal comfort or cow comfort. And I know that those of you that have had some farming experience know that cow comfort is very important to the success of animals. And I look at this venue and, any celebration that occurs, there's going to be music. It will be loud. People are there to celebrate. And I understand that. But at what risk or concerns will there be to local residents and to the animals in the area? And one thing that I know is one of my husband's past clients have a horse farm on the 6th line. What impact is that going to make to these expensive horses in their living quarters? How is the noise going to impact it? How are we going to potentially restrict it and allow these animals, because clearly they were here first. So I ask that the planning department address those issues in accordance to the proper guidelines. My other concerns is the airport. I know, and I've talked to a recent person that's retired from Transportation Canada. I don't know if I'm sure, Mr. Patel, that you're aware, sorry, I could look at you, but that your property is in the direct flight pattern of the I don't even know the real title, the airport, okay? Simcoe-Muskoka Regional Airport, if I get it right. So with that, they're in direct flight pattern of that said property. And with events, they're fireworks. So we might not meet the limit for the with the fireworks, but we have to look at the fact that we have pilots landing 24/7. That airport is open. That airport is open, and we have pilots dropping their planes in our regional airport. With that, there is something that we have to look at, and it's called a NOTAM, which is a notice to airmen. And there has to be information expressed so that the pilots would know that there is a visual disturbance within that air flight pattern. That's a concern to me. I don't want to see an air traffic catastrophe because of the event. And I think that, everyone in the community would be devastated by that. So I look at that very much as a concern, and how that's going to be, whether or not you've asked the planning department, if you've asked any input from the airport manager. And I ask you to look into that, because that remains a concern to me. The last thing is I look at, and this event center is going to be a multicultural center. I'm sure there's going to be many different cultures, many different observations of weddings and what have you. In some cultures, weddings can last days. So does that mean that when an event is planned, is it going to be a standalone one-day event, or is it going to be multiple days of celebration? And in which case, does the community then have bear the, that's not a good word, that's negative, bear the noise and the disruption to our normal day-to-day life? I'm not saying it shouldn't happen, but I think we have to look at globally of how the event center can potentially impact the community. Not just one-day events, multiple events consecutively. And I also look at other events that are large in nature within the community, and if they are happening consecutively, what sort of burden does that cause our entire community? Okay? And the idea of the septic bothers me as well. I'm not sure whether or not, because there's a creek that goes through my property, and I'm not sure whether or not there's any tributaries relating to what Jeremy has said. Is there a potential, if this septic does not meet correct environmental standards, what will be the impact to those of us around in the surrounding area? I ask that when you make these decisions, that you make it for everyone, not just for the individual that is looking to create a new venue in our community. Okay? And Mr. Patel, thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate your approach, and I just wanted to work for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Honeywood.
Thanks.
Madam Deputy Clerk?
Excuse me, the next registration is Tony Kachia? My apologies.
Please step up, sir, and state your name.
My name is Tony Kakia. I am, together with my wife, the property owner of 88 Line 6 South. We're the ones with the horse farm. I guess one of the questions I had was, in the presentation, there was a list of studies that were done. And all of those studies would directly address any concerns that we would have. How would we be able to get a copy of those so that we could review them for ourselves? That was one of my concerns, and maybe we could address that later. And the second thing that I'm concerned about mostly is, for those of you who may or may not know anything about horses, they're a very fight animal, and they're very susceptible to noise and things like fireworks and even heavy traffic or heavy equipment. And So what we do with our horses is primarily involving teaching young kids in the age of 8 to 16 how to ride horses. It's their extracurricular activity, if you will. And sudden noises or unexpected noises can seriously impact how the horse behaves and therefore affect the safety of the rider. And that can be managed if you knew what the timing of the events were. That could be managed, and I'm sure that could be arranged in the future. Our worry in that regard is that is there going to be an event every weekend, or is it going to be an event like once a month? Because that could impact the amount of time that it takes to reconfigure what our schedule is. And other than that, I leave it in the hands of the town to make sure that all the studies are appropriate. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Yes, Ms. Patton?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Tony, the planning dashboard on the township website contains a link to all the studies that have been prepared for the application, and they're accessible there for the public.
Thank you very much. Madam Deputy Clerk?
The last registration that staff have received is from Ken Graham.
Mr. Graham, please. Oh, adjust the microphone way up. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members of council and the planning committee, and friends and neighbors. We moved here over 50 years ago, and I was told at the time when we were buying that the worst possible noise that we would probably experience would be once or twice a year of the combines and harvesters in the fall, and maybe some real powerful diesels in the springtime. That was 50 years ago. We were also told that possibly the worst possible smell would be from pig-produced fertilizer, and that's a deadly smell. But we said, that's part of living in this part of the world, and this is part of living in a farming community. What we weren't prepared, and to this day I'm not prepared, to accept noise levels imposed on us for no discernible good reason that I can determine. And so my whole thing is about noise. This event center can and probably will have numerous events. It is likely that the noise issue will possibly become weekly occurrences that cause sleep and peace disturbances. My experience when asking for bylaw enforcement of noise problems from Burroughs Creek has been totally unsatisfactory. We have noise bylaws that simply do not do the job of protecting citizens so that we can live a normal life. Burroughs Creek, thank God, is only a limited number of weekends now. A wedding venue, we could be presented with weddings every single weekend, destroying our peace and destroying our sleep. The noise bylaws at present are extremely poor. It's poor enforcement, and the penalty provisions are inconsequential to most businesses. I'm a businessman, and I know that many businessmen will simply say that's a cost of doing business to accept this. And so my proposal, and I'm amending what I sent in. I can give you a copy of this, but basically amending so that I'm saying prior to approval, because after approval, the noise bylaws simply won't do it. So what I'm asking is that prior to any approval of this rezoning, that Mr. Patel and the company, his company, agree to some rules and conditions regarding noise and fire marks prior to approval. Should they not agree to some of these, then the rezoning application should be denied. I am proposing that the following conditions be put into place before the approval can proceed. 1, that the rezoning applicant agrees to that noise levels after 10 p.m. happens to be my bedtime, but I'm probably old enough so that I have to go to bed a little earlier than most of you, especially council, because you guys are up. Anyways, after 10 p.m. will be low enough so that 50 decibels measured at their property line is the limit. And that will probably allow us to get some decent sleep. 2, that the applicant agrees to established noise levels limitations inside and outside the building so that at all times or of the day or night, there will not be excessive noise. In other words, pre-agreement. That for 3, that for any complaint about noise that does occur and proves true, that there is a way to quickly shut down that noise. My experience with Burroughs Creek noise complaints, and I made some, was that 1, it took a long time for the noise bylaw person to get there, and 2, when they did get there, there was no action taken. And the noise went on and on and on, even though I had measured in my backyard close to 100 decibels. Now, I live a long way from Burroughs Creek, but I live very, very close to Mr. Patel's potential operation. 4, that the applicant agrees in advance that there will be specific penalties if noise violations occur. And the reason I say this is because current bylaw is minimal. Most businesses, especially one that's going to have 200, 300 people at it, is going to say that's just the cost of doing business. So what I'm proposing is that a fine is not in dollars, but is in cessation of the business for a limited amount of time. Dollars is not going to be something that's going to do the job. So, as an example, with the first violation of the noise bylaw or fireworks, the penalty will be you do not get another noise permit for a period of 3 months. That's your penalty. If it happens twice, 6 months. If it happens 3 times, you're shut down. Something that's going to be detrimental to the business is the way to slow it down and a way to protect your citizens and your voters. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. With that are all the registered speakers.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Clerk. Is there anyone in council chambers who wishes to speak on this matter? Okay, seeing none. Members of the committee, do you have questions or comments for the applicant? Councillor Young, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just a question for Mr. Patel. What I'm curious about is that the capacity of the hall itself, the venue itself, what is it being proposed for in terms of capacity, the number of people permitted in there?
Ms. Lemieux, please.
Thank you. I figured answer through the mic so everyone can hear.
Please state your name. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Victoria Lemieux, the agent
Yes.
for the owner. I don't have those specific numbers in front of me at this stage, and again, really appreciate these really detailed comments. This is extremely helpful for us to comment back to. But I'll just make the comment, Councillor, that At this point, we are seeking approval for the overall use itself, but there is a very stringent Ontario Building Code review that will be done. And part of that, of course, is occupancy loads and making sure that the building itself and the servicing and fire facility can handle that. So I don't have a specific number for you right now, but we can get you those details before this application comes back. I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you. One more question.
Certainly.
Thank you. One of the biggest concerns we've had or complaints in the past is the noise level has already been mentioned here. How close are the neighbors is what I want to know. I have some idea from you people on the 6th line, that sort of thing, but could I have Mr. Patel's, could I have that answer, please? How close are the neighbors?
Through you, Chair, that's a great question. To be able to provide specifics, I feel like the neighbors themselves can probably give more of a specific measurement, but just recalling that the property's frontage overall is about 620 or so meters. I believe that was the number. So anticipating that the proposed built form is central to the property, I would say plus or minus, you'd probably have about 300 meters or so to the north and to the south of where the proposed building would be. Again, of course, those are not exact numbers. I can't state that right now. But again, we can get you some specific measurements on the revised site plan for you to see where those separations are. No problem.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Please step up to the mic and state your name.
My name is Jeremy Curtin. I'm
Thank
right
you.
next door to Mr. Patel. I'm about 400 feet away from the venue. My house is about 400 feet away from the proposed venue.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any further questions from members of the committee? No, seeing none. Okay, I do have a few comments. I think I understand the single floor surface area of the facility to be approximately 16,000 square feet. That's, yes, okay, so, and it's a two-story a structure. Okay, so I think we have 32,000 square feet for whatever purpose. And I just, just want to clarify with respect to the planning committee or planning department and their commentary with regard to their report coming forward as to the primariness of the use when we do see the report. The other concern, of course, I think that I'm hearing is that the facility may or may not be in fact year-round, which is quite possible given the complexity of the structure. I think we've heard about the copies of the reports. Yeah, no, excuse me, let me finish. Thank you. And I would appreciate some sort of consultation or comment from the Lake Simcoe Regional Airport. I understand from some of the reports that the number of people varies anywhere from 500 to 100. So I think we do need to understand from the perspective of impact what we're talking about to the community, to the roadway, all of that. And I would offer as a suggestion that somehow we understand as a committee and a community what the sound attenuation of the building itself is. So, I mean, there could be a lot done by virtue of the design of the building if the events were in the building to prevent the noise from actually being outside. So those would be simply my comments. And Councillor Bard.
Thank you, Deputy. And sort of to piggyback onto the sound, so though there will be some sound reports, I'm just wondering, it's sort of that base sound. So if we're measuring decibels in a city center compared to measuring decibels on a summer night when it's 10:30 at night and you can only hear crickets, then that's different. So are there different studies, I guess, depending on the location of where these sounds are coming from? I'm not looking for an answer now, but just a follow-up.
Mr. Curtin, you had one more comment. If you want to step up, please, and then we'll conclude at that.
In their planning justification report, it states that it's a 4-season venue and it will be used anywhere from 3 to 5 days a week.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Oh, I'm sorry, Councillor Young.
Thank you, Deputy. Just to follow up on the Deputy Mayor's question there, perhaps the question I have is, will there be any outside tent type of buildings? Is that planned at all, or is that even in your mind to have that outside? We have one that do have functions outside in the tent area, and we're so very familiar with the issue of the problems that has caused. So.
Thank you, Chair. Victoria Lemieux, again, the agent for the owner, just again, so anyone online can hear me. It is not the intention for any activity to be taken place outdoors. The building has been designed to, for example, it would have the ceremony, like again, just for example of a wedding, you'd have the ceremony inside the greenhouse as well as the reception. All of those activities are intended to be in the building. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. Has there been any further correspondence received during the course of the meeting?
No, Mr. Deputy Mayor, nothing further has been received.
Thank you very much, Mr. Karaskakis. Any final comments from members of the committee? Seeing none. So this completes this meeting process, and thank you all very much for coming out to speak here tonight. It's been very helpful for the committee's purposes, and I'm sure for the proponents' purposes as well. So thank you very much, Mr. Patel and Ms. Lemieux. And so the committee wishes to thank all those in attendance for your participation through your submission of written comment or comments during the meeting, and we'll consider all their matters going forward. And with that, we'll move on to item 5B. Yeah, I will. Yeah. Good night, Ann. She just had a whole total knee replacement a couple of weeks ago. I can't believe she must be loaded up on. Yeah, a few years ago. Yeah. No kidding. Bob Hirsch's single is up there. Bob Hirsch's single.
I didn't think I was.
Yeah, that was it. You guys were the show. Oh, the rest of these applications are going to be a breeze. Oh, yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, would you like to continue, or would you like me to? Okay.
Okay. We will proceed with the next application. This public meeting is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act to obtain public comments with respect to the zoning bylaw amendment application 2025 ZBA 37, submitted by Mohammed Biokazdak and Zara Asadian Biozadeh on lands municipally known as 1753 Ridge Road West. Please be advised that this meeting is being digitally recorded for the purposes of the creation of a public record. Only after comments are received from the public, township staff, and requested agencies will the Development Services Committee make a decision on the zoning bylaw amendment application. Madam Deputy Clerk, has there been correspondence received on this matter?
Correspondence has been received from the Township of Oro-Medonte Operations Division dated October 16, Enbridge Gas, October 22, Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority, October 29, County of Simcoe Planning Department, October 30, Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority dated October 30, 2025.
Thank you very much. I'll now turn the meeting over to Aaron Treemstra, agent, who will explain the purpose and effect of the zoning bylaw amendment application and any written statement received from the applicant. Mr. Treemstra, please.
Good evening. My name is Aaron Treemstra. I'm representing my clients at 1753 Ridge Road West.
Thank you.
Yes. I don't have much to say on the matter this evening, other than that our client wishes to propose a second floor addition above an existing garage to allow for more storage space on their property. Instead of proposing an additional accessory building on the property, we figured it would be a better use of space to propose this addition. So we're requesting higher building height and I believe gross floor area.
Okay, thank you very much. And this is for this would be then for a minor variance of some form.
Correct.
Yes, okay, good. Thank you very much. Is any questions from the committee members with respect to this? No, seeing none. Were there any other slides to present with regard to this application?
To you, Mr. Chair, I did have a presentation prepared for this ZBA application, if you don't mind.
Please, yeah, well, please go ahead, Ms. Patton. It's not in my notes here, so forgive me.
Okay. So zoning bylaw amendment application 2025 ZBA 37 is for the property located at 1753 Ridge Road West. The property is designated shoreline and greenlands in the Township OP, shoreline residential exception 215, and agricultural rural in the zoning bylaw, and is being used for shoreline residential purposes. Next slide, please. The purpose of the application is to rezone a portion of the subject lands from the agricultural rural zone to the agricultural rural exception 378 zone to permit the construction of a second story on the already existing one-story detached accessory building. The detached garage was subject to minor variance application 2019 A19 in May of 2019 to permit the construction of the accessory building with increased height and reduced setback to the watercourse. The applicants are proposing to further enlarge the existing detached accessory building by constructing the second story. The relief being requested is on the screen. Next slide, please. The subject property has a lot area of 0.9 hectares, 2.3 acres, and is developed with a single detached dwelling with an attached garage, detached garage, boathouse, and a pool as shown in photo 1. Photo 2 shows the public notice sign that was posted along Ridge Road West. Next slide, please. Figure 1 shows the site plan of the entire property, whereas Figure 2 shows the enlarged area where the garage currently is. The second story will occur entirely within the existing building footprint, with the exception of the stairs that is being added for the access to that second story. Figure 3 shows the floor plans of the garage. The floor plan on the left is the existing 3-car garage, whereas the floor plan on the right is the proposed second story for storage purposes. Figure 4 shows the existing garage elevations. And figure 5 shows the proposed garage elevations. The subject property is designated rural and greenlands in the county OP, and shoreline and greenlands is in the township OP. The accessory building is located in the greenlands designation, which permits a single detached dwelling and accessory structures. The greenlands designation is applied due to the presence of woodlands as shown on figure 8. However, they are less than 50 hectares in size and are not considered significant. Figure 9 shows the property being located within the Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Area, the regulated area, which is the area shown in yellow. The LSRCA provided comments advising that the accessory building is located within the meander belt hazard lands, and that demonstration that the proposed second story will not contain habitable space is required. Township planning staff discussed this with LSRCA staff and concluded that since an LSRCA permit is required as a condition, the applicants will enter into a restrictive covenant to ensure there's no habitable space on that second story. Photos 3 and 4 show Ridge Road West facing east and west. Photo 5 shows the existing detached garage that the second story is proposed to be constructed on. The detached accessory building in the agricultural rural zone is permitted to have a floor area of 100 square meters. The existing detached garage has a floor area of 80 square meters, approximately 856 square feet. The proposed second story has a floor area of 76 square meters, approximately 827 square feet, for a total floor area of 156.4 square meters proposed. The proposed detached accessory building is smaller than the existing single detached dwelling, which has a floor area of approximately 443 square meters, which is around 4,700 square feet, plus a 472 square meter, 5,000 square foot finished basement in accordance with MPAC records. The proposed second floor addition to the existing accessory building would remain smaller in scale to the principal dwelling, be located at a suitable distance from the shoreline, have limited visual impact from both the road and the lake, and the building's intended use as storage will ensure that it remains secondary to the primary residential use. So this concludes staff's summary and overview of the planning context. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to receive comments from the public. However, due to the minor nature of the rezoning application, a staff report recommending approval and associated zoning bylaw amendment have been prepared for committee's consideration later in the agenda. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, and welcome to the planning team, Ms. Patton.
Thank you.
Yes. Committee members, do you have any comment or question? No? Seeing none. With that, is there anyone registered to speak to this matter, Madam Deputy Clerk?
No, there were no additional registrations received, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And is there anyone present here wishing to speak to the matter? Seeing none. And with that, has there been any communication received during the course of the meeting?
No, Mr. Chair, nothing further has been received for this application.
Okay, thank you very much. And with that, this completes the application process and closes this meeting. Thank you very much for standing by, Mr. Treemsta. And the committee wishes to thank all those in attendance for your participation, either through written comments or oral comments. And we will decide on the matter by way of bylaw later tonight. Thank you. With that, we move on to public meeting item 5C. This public meeting is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act to obtain public comments with respect to the zoning bylaw amendment application 2025 ZBA-38 submitted by Exposed Holdings Inc. on lands municipally known as 8698 Highway 12. Please be advised that the meeting is being digitally recorded for the purposes of the creation of a public record. Only after comments are received from the public, township staff, and requested agencies will the Development Services Committee make a decision on the zoning bylaw amendment application. Madam Deputy Clerk, has there been communication received on this matter?
Correspondence received from the Township of Oro-Medonte Environmental Services Division, October 20, Ministry of Transportation, October 21, Severn Sound Environmental Association, dated October 22, Enbridge Gas, October 23rd, and Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, dated October 30, 2025.
Thank you very much. I'll now turn the meeting over to Ross McLeod, agent, who will explain the purpose and effect of the zoning bylaw amendment application and any written statement received from the applicant. Mr. McLeod, please.
Hello, can everybody hear me?
We can indeed, quite well.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and hello, everyone. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot really to add other than what was in the application. Other than basically just a quick overview. Again, my client is hoping to build a structure. There'll be a combination of recreational use and storage for a few cars, kind of thing. They also want to. They're also asking if they can have an ARU capacity inside of that for a portion of it, in case they have, some friends from out of town, and perhaps like I guess a bunkie sort of component to that building as well.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the quick overview of it. They're they're nice family folks. They try to keep themselves and have no intention of disrupting neighbors or anything like that, or the lake. There's a whole ton of space for septic if this is allowed, tons of area. And so, it'd be very minimal use of the ARU as it is. It's just for contingency for them. Like I said, if they have people from out of town, the structure is for private use. The recreation activities would be private use. And yeah, I think that's about all there is to say about that, other than, I think that's it.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Mr. McLeod. Was there anything from staff with regard to presentation on this matter?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I could elaborate a little bit further if committee is interested.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you. So the slide that's shown there, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, is a map of the property. As you can see, it's an irregular shaped property. It fronts on Highway 12 and on Bass Lake. The property is about 3.8 hectares in size, a little under 10 acres, 9.3 acres. The bulk of the property is zoned agricultural rural, and there is residential limited service exception 2 with a holding along the waterfront. Next slide, please. As was indicated by the applicant's agent, the proposed rezoning is to permit a large accessory building that would include an accessory residential dwelling unit. The proposed building has an area of 598 square meters, or 6,440 square feet, and a height of 22.5 feet. The property would be, that portion of the property would be rezoned from agricultural rural to an agricultural rural exception zone to permit the enlarged accessory building and accessory dwelling unit on the property. Next slide, please. So these images start to show a little bit detail about the property. So the image on the left is just an outline of the property as we saw it before, an aerial image. And the image on the right is the public notice sign posted. Next slide, please. So these maps show different things. The one on the left shows the existing zoning, and you can see the lighter yellow is the agricultural rural, and then the brighter yellow is the residential to exception zone along the waterfront. The middle slide shows the official plan designation, and you can see a large swath of greenland that goes across the center of the property and rural toward the lake. And the image on the right is the NVCA regulated area, and you can see that the Conservation Authority regulated area encompasses a large portion of the property, and I'll speak to that in a couple of minutes. Next slide, please. So this is a site plan of the proposed property showing the building circled there. The actual building is the green portion, and then there's the parking area in front, indicated in red. It's just in behind the properties that front on Highway 12. You can see them there. There's an access point from the highway. So, and then there's a long driveway that goes to the proposed location. Next slide, please. So this is image, and I appreciate it's hard to see, but the image on the left is the ground floor, and you can see on the right there's a 3-bay garage, and then on the left is a basketball pickleball court. Just to the lower part of the image is a golf simulator, and then there is just a recreation area just to the very bottom. And then above the image on the right, it's a second floor, and that is where the accessory dwelling unit is proposed. And there's a couple of bedrooms and living area to the right side of that image. Next slide, please. So these are some photographs of the site. So the image on the left shows the entrance off Highway 12, and the image in the center looks east along Highway 12, and the image to the right is looking west along Highway 12. Next slide, please. So as you go into the property, that is the image on the left, and then the image in the center is looking back up to Highway 12, and the image to the right is the driveway entrance access to the proposed accessory building. Next slide, please. So these images show that the owner has already commenced some of the site preparation for this building. You can see the gravel has been placed where the proposed building would go. As I indicated, this is a part of the NVCA's regulated area, and the applicant is currently in discussions with the Conservation Authority, dealing with matters such as the clearing of this area. Next slide, please. So this image shows the fence line along the rear of the properties that front on Highway 12. That's the image on the left, and then the image on the right is the fence line along the easterly portion of the property. Next slide, please. The image on the left here is the principal dwelling unit on the property, and the image on the right is a basketball tennis court that's been constructed on the east side of the dwelling unit. Next slide, please. These images show the work that's been done at the rear of the house, adjacent to the pond that is there. You'll see on the image on the left is a playground structure. It's a fairly new playground structure, and you can see the image on the right, some gravel and some new retaining walls that have been installed. So again, this is something that the applicant is dealing with the Conservation Authority on. Next slide, please. These images here show a new pool being constructed in the rear side yard of the property. You can see the landscaping and a fence adjacent the property to the west, and then the image on the right shows front corner of the pool, and then the Bass Lake and the access to the pond that's right beside the property. Next slide, please. So this concludes staff's summary overview of the planning context and summary of the application. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to receive public comment. A recommendation report will be prepared by staff and brought forward once the application, and the application will be considered by committee at a future date once all the comments have been received and matters with the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority have been addressed. That concludes my presentation, Mr. Chair, and I'd be happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vadavoncourt. That was very enlightening. Members of committee have any comments? Yes, Mr. Bart, Councillor Bart, excuse me, please.
Yeah, thank you, through you, Deputy. One of the views you had looking back towards Highway 12, there was the garage, and off to the right, is that a second house? Because you talked about the principal dwelling unit. Is there a second house on that property, or the middle picture on the right-hand side, is that a house?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to the councillor, it's a storage building and a garage storage building. And the building to the left, you can see it there just in the rear, that's another garage storage building.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. Through you to Mr. Van Boncourt, I'm just wondering from the articulation of the presentation, is there seem to be a certain amount of work that has taken place without the proper approval permits first, like the clearing of the trees and is there some issues in regards to that with the NVCA?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair, to His Worship. There are some issues, and the applicant is currently dealing with the NVCA on those matters.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any other comments with regard to this application? Seeing none. Madam Deputy Clerk, is anyone registered to speak to the matter?
We have another registration on behalf of the applicant, Brendan Cush, if we can confirm if he would like to provide comments.
Is Mr. Cush online or in chambers? Apparently not in chambers.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Oh, we can indeed. Yes, thank you, sir.
Okay, sorry, I was muted. No, I was just here. I think Ross covered everything from our end. I was here just in support of Ross in case there were any other questions that needed to be answered, but I think he covered everything.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Is there anyone here in chambers who wishes to speak to the matter? Seeing none. And Madam Deputy Clerk, that was the only other party registered to speak?
Mr. Chair, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. Was there any further communication received during the course of the meeting?
No, Mr. Chair, nothing further has been received for this application.
Thank you, Mr. Karaskakis. This completes the application process and closes this meeting, so we'll expect to hear for a report later on. And the committee wishes to thank all those in attendance for their participation, either through written or oral comments during the meeting, and we'll consider all these matters in their future decision. So with that, we'll move on to the first of the public hearings tonight, item 6A, application 2025A35. This public hearing is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act to obtain public comments with respect to the minor variance application 2025-835 submitted by Craighurst Limited Partnership on lands municipally known as 5 Ambassador Avenue. Please be advised that this hearing is being digitally recorded for the purposes of the creation of a public record. After the comments are received from the public, township staff, and requested agencies, will the Development Service Committee make a decision on this minor variance application? Madam Deputy Clerk, have there been communications received on this matter?
Correspondence received from the Township of Oro-Medonte Operations Division, October 16, and Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority dated October 27, 2025.
Thank you very much. Now turn the meeting over to George Vadaboncourt, Manager of Planning and Special Projects, who will explain the purpose and effect of the minor variance application and any written statement received from the applicant. Mr. Vadaboncourt, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of committee, this is a minor variance application pertaining to a property at 5 Ambassador Avenue in the Craighurst settlement area. The official plan is designated residential. The zoning is open space with a hold 3, and I'll speak to that in a couple of minutes, and the property is currently vacant. Next slide, please. The purpose of this application is to approve a minor variance application for a new sewage pumping station that's to be constructed on this irregularly shaped lot to service the Georgian Communities Craighurst development. And the applicants are seeking relief to the interior side yard setback. The current requirement is 7.5 meters, and the proposed setback is 3 meters. Next slide, please. So the image on the screen there is the proposed site plan for the proposed sewage pumping station, and the area circled is where there's the 3 meter setback to the lands to the east, which consist of a stormwater management pond. I just want to point out on this slide that you'll see an access lane, a service lane to the stormwater management pond that is immediately adjacent the property, and you'll see that on some of the images that'll follow this slide. Next slide, please. So these images show the property. The one on the left is the aerial. This is a brand new development, so there's no housing in this portion of the property. The road has been asphalted, and the property has been rough graded, and the stormwater management pond is there, but this property is vacant, and it's shown there in red. And on the left is the zoning of the property, and you can see open space and environmental protection in the darker green shade. Next slide, please. So here are some images. This is the entrance to Ambassador Avenue from Penetanguishene Road. On the left, there were 2 public notice placards posted on the site, and so the images in the center and to the right are of the two placards. Next slide, please. The image on the left here shows Ambassador Avenue looking back toward Penetanguishene Road in front of the site, and the image on the right is looking east on Ambassador Avenue. Next slide, please. So this is the portion of the property where the proposed sewage pumping station is to be located, and just on the left-hand side you'll see the raised portion of the access road to the stormwater management pond, and that's where the setback relief is being requested. Next slide, please. So these images, the one on the left shows the stormwater management pond with the maintenance lane on the east side of the property, and then this is the westerly portion of the property adjacent to the wetland, the slide on the right. Next slide, please. So it is being recommended that minor variance application 2025A35 submitted by Craighurst Limited Partnership be approved on the basis that it meets the 4 tests of minor variance under the Planning Act. It is in conformity and consistent with applicable provincial, county, and township planning policies and represents good planning. Staff are recommending 3 standard conditions of approval listed on this slide and in the staff report. As I mentioned earlier, the property has a holding symbol on it. It's an H3, and that holding symbol was put on at the request of the NVCA, and the NVCA requested that floodplain mapping be provided to them, and so that they could approve that. And I can indicate that the NVCA has said that the applicant has provided the appropriate floodplain mapping, and they are satisfied, and they have no objection to the holding symbol being lifted on this property. So it's also being recommended that a bylaw to lift the hold 3 be undertaken, as the applicant has satisfied the Nonosaga Valley Conservation Authority to lift the hold. Mr. Chair, this concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vadaboncourt. I now ask the applicant, Jay Beach of Craighurst Limited Partnership, to speak to the application if he wishes to provide any comment or indicate anything further to the staff report. Mr. Beach, please.
Mr. Beach, if you could please unmute. Mr. Beach, if you could please unmute.
I think in light of the rather minor nature, we might be able to proceed nonetheless. Mr. Vadabancourt, would it be, I just have a question. Is the owner of the property where the stormwater management pond is located the same owner as the would be of the subject property?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So an interesting nuance with respect to this application is that the township is actually the owner of the property where the sewage pumping station is going, because it was conveyed to the municipality as part of the subdivision approval process. So we're the owner. The Georgian Communities is the applicant because they're constructing the infrastructure on the property. With respect to the stormwater management pond, it is a public facility. I would assume it has been dedicated to the municipality, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, all right. So there's virtually no interference between property owners is really what I'm trying to get at. Okay, thank you very much for that. Committee members, do you have any questions with regard to this? No. No, seeing none. Thank you. Mr. Beach, if you can hear me, we'll just simply proceed. I don't think there's any need to question. Is there anyone else registered to speak to this matter, Madam Deputy Clerk?
Mr. Chair, no, there were no additional registrations received.
Okay, and I would take it that there's been no communication received on this matter during the course of the
No, Mr.
hearing.
Chair, nothing's
Thank
been
you.
received.
Madam Deputy Clerk, may we hear the motion?
Moved by Young, seconded by Bard. It is recommended one that DS 2025-114, George Vadabancourt, Manager, Planning, Special Projects, minor variance application 2025A35, application to lift holding provision 2025 ZBA 39, Township of Oro-Medonte and Craighurst Limited Partnership, 5 Ambassador Avenue be received and adopted. 2, that minor variance application 2025A35 submitted by Craighurst Limited Partnership on behalf of the Township of Oro-Medonte, specifically for relief to reduce the minimum interior side yard setback from 7.5 meters, 24.6 feet, to 3.0 meters, 9.8 feet, to permit a sewage pumping station building to be constructed on a property municipally known as 5 Ambassador Avenue, Oro-Medonte be approved, subject to the conditions as outlined in DS 2025-114. 3, that zoning bylaw amendment application 2025 ZBA 39, Craighurst Limited Partnership, specifically to lift the holding provision on lands known municipally as 5 Ambassador Avenue, Township of Oro-Medonte be approved. 4, that staff bring forth the appropriate draft bylaw for council's consideration. And 5, that the applicant be advised of the committee's decision under the Secretary-Treasurer's signature.
Thank you very much for that. Any questions or comments with regard to the draft motion? Seeing none, then all those in favor of the motion is carried. So this completes the application process and closes this hearing. The committee wishes to thank all those in attendance for your participation. A copy of the decision will be mailed to the applicant agent and anyone who has submitted written comments or provided oral comments during the hearing in regard to the application. Thank you very much. With that, we proceed on to item 6B. This public hearing is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act to obtain public comments with respect to the minor variance application 2025A36 submitted by Marco Gonzalez and Tina Fernando on lands municipally known as 1042 Line 6 North. Please be advised that the hearing is being digitally recorded for the purposes of the creation of a public record. Only after comments are received from the public, township staff, and requested agencies will the Development Services Committee make a decision on this minor variance application. Madam Deputy Clerk, have there been any correspondence received on this matter?
Correspondence received, excuse me, correspondence received from the Township of Oro-Medonte Operations Division, October 16, and Severn Sound Environmental Association, dated October 23rd, 2025.
Thank you very much. Now turn the meeting over to Andy Karaskakis, Manager of Planning Services, who will explain the purpose and effect of the minor variance application. Any written statement received from the applicant. Mr. Karaskakis, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Minor variance application 2025-A36 has been applied for on lands located at 1042 Line 6 North. The subject property has a lot area of 3.1 hectares and contains a 2-story single detached dwelling, an accessory building, several small outbuildings and sheds, an accessory building barn that has been damaged. The subject property is designated agricultural and green lands in the township's official plan and is zoned rural residential 2 and agricultural rural. The applicants are proposing to construct a 1-story detached accessory building with a total floor area of 111.5 square meters and are seeking relief from section 5.1.6, the maximum floor area of the zoning bylaw, which requires any detached accessory buildings to have a maximum floor area of 70 square meters or 735 square feet. And the applicants are proposing to construct it to 111.5 square meters or 1,200 square feet. The applicants prepared a site plan depicting the location of the detached accessory building. So the image on the left shows the subject property, which is kind of in an L-shaped orientation. The dwelling is located closer to the roadside, and there's a couple of accessory buildings. The image on the right shows the proposed 30 by 40 shed in a hatched outline. And it's proposed to be located along the southerly property line, and the existing structure, which is located just a little further to the north of the proposed detached accessory building, that's a structure that's been damaged, I believe, through the ice storm, and the applicants are proposing to replace that with this new building, and images of that structure will be shown in the later slides. The applicants also prepared elevation drawings which show the exterior look of the building. So it's a 1-story building with an overhead garage door and a man door. The applicant also prepared 3D renderings and the floor plan. So it's a completely open slab, and the 3D image views show the front, sides, and rear of the proposed building. The image on the left shows the aerial photo of the subject property. The subject property is outlined in red. And on the right image there shows the public notice sign posted in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act. The existing zoning, as mentioned previously, the property is split zoned, so it's rural residential 2 located at the front of the building. So the existing dwelling and the existing outbuildings are located in the rural residential 2 zone, and at the rear of the property is zoned agricultural rural. The image on the right is a excerpt from the township's official plan, the natural heritage features schedule, and it's difficult to look on the screen there, but the proposed location of the building is shown in a little square, which shows it that it depicts that it's located quite a distance away from any existing natural features. And as such, no further environmental studies are required to be prepared by the applicant. Images on the screen show views looking north and south along Line 6 North. The image on the screen shows a view of the subject property from the roadside. So the existing dwelling is shown right in front. and the proposed buildings to be located further to the rear of the dwelling. Images on the screen show the existing structures on the property. So on the right-hand side, you'll see a couple of detached structures. And the image on the right, further back, shows the existing structure which has been damaged. The image on the screens here show the proposed location of the building, kind of surrounded by existing mature vegetation. And the proposed building will be heavily screened from view from the roadside, and it's also located behind the dwelling, so will have no appearance visually from the street side. Mr. Chair, committee, planning staff have reviewed the minor variance application against the 4 tests of the minor variance and are recommending approval, subject to the standard conditions outlined in the staff report. And that concludes my presentation. Mr. Chair, happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Karaskakis. Now ask the applicants, Marco Gonzalez and Tino Fernando, if they wish to provide any comment or indicate anything further to be added to the staff presentation. Are they online? Okay, thank you.
No, everything is just as it is, I guess. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Well, thank you very much. With that, the committee members, do you have any questions or comments with regard to this application? Councillor Young?
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just a general question, Mr. Kariakis. Just a general question. It's on line 6. What are the cross streets there, the north and south? There's 2 lines going. I note that it's prepared by the applicant, but they've come before us before, and I'm always interested in trying to place these places. And do you know exactly where it is?
Sure. Through you to Mr. Young, the property will be located north of Old Road.
North, okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Any further questions? Thank you. I'll now ask have there been anyone registered to speak on this matter, Madam Deputy Clerk?
Mr. Chair, no, there were no additional registrations received.
Thank you very much. Anyone in the gallery who came to speak to this matter? Seeing none. Any further communications received on this matter, Mr. Karaskakis?
No, Mr. Chair, nothing further has been received for this application.
Thank you very much. And with that, may we hear the motion, Madam Deputy Clerk?
Moved by Greenlaw, seconded by Clark. It is recommended 1 that DS 2025-121, Andy Karaskakis, Manager, Planning Services, minor variance application 2025-836, Gonzalez and Fernando, 1042, line 6 north, be received and adopted. 2, that minor variance application 2025-836, specifically to permit the construction of a detached accessory building with an increased floor area of 111.5 square meters, 1,200.0 square feet, on lands municipally known as 1042 Line 6 North, Township of Oro-Medonte, be approved subject to the conditions as outlined in DS 2025-121. 3, that the applicants be advised of committee's decision under the Secretary-Treasurer's signature.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments with regard to the proposed motion? Seeing none, may I have a vote, please? All in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you very much, Ms. Fernando and Mr. Karaskakis. And with that, completes the application process and closes this hearing. The committee wishes to thank all those in attendance for their participation, and a copy of the decision will be mailed out to the applicant, agent, and anyone who has submitted written comments or provided oral comments during the hearing in regard to the application. With that, we move on to item 6C. This public hearing is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act to obtain public comment with respect to the consent application 2025B19 submitted by Steve and Sandra Relling on lands municipally known as 2209 Line 2 North, Please be advised that this hearing is being digitally recorded for the purposes of the creation of a public record. Only after comments are received from the public, township staff, and requested agencies will the Development Services Committee make a decision on this consent application. Madam Deputy Clerk, has been communication received on the matter?
Correspondence received from the Township of Oro-Medonte Operations Division, October 20, Severn Sound Environmental Association, dated October 22, Enbridge Gas, October 23, County of Simcoe Planning Department, October 30, and Hydro 1, dated November 4th, 2025.
Thank you very much. I'll now turn the meeting over to Chloe Patton, Intermediate Planner, who will explain the purpose and effect of the consent application and any written statement received from the applicant. Ms. Patton, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Consent application 2025 B19 is for the property located at 2209 Line 2 North. The property is designated rural in both the county and township official plan, is zoned rural residential 2, and is currently being used for residential purposes. The purpose of the application is to create a new rural residential lot. The property will essentially be split in half, with both the severed and retained lots having a lot frontage of approximately 53.3 meters, 175 feet, a lot depth of approximately 152.4 meters, 500 feet, and an area of approximately 0.8 hectares or 2 acres. The subject property has a total lot area of 1.6 hectares, 4 acres, and is developed with a single detached dwelling and accessory building as shown in Figure 1. Surrounding land uses consist of rural residential uses, agricultural uses, and woodlots. Photo 1 shows the placard placed on Line 2 North. Figure 2 shows the proposed sever lot in red and the retained lot in blue. Figure 3 shows an enlarged version of the consent sketch detailing the proposed lot frontages and lot areas. The proposed frontages and areas both comply to the rural residential 2 zone provisions. As noted, the subject property is designated rural in both the county and township official plan. The proposed consent conforms to the consent policies of the rural designation, as no more than one lot will be created as a result of the application. The proposed lot has a maximum size of 0.8 hectares, conforms to the general consent policies of the OP, does not constitute strip development, has adequate lot area to accommodate servicing, and has access to and frontage on Line 2 North, which is maintained year-round by the township. The subject property is zoned rural residential 2, and the proposed severed and retained lots comply to both the lot area and frontages. Photos 2 and 3 show Line 2 North looking north and south. Photo 4 shows the existing development that will be on the retained lot, the detached dwelling and accessory building. Photo 5 shows a photo of the lands to be severed and the lands to be retained, the lands to be severed in red, lands to be retained in blue. And we, based on our review, it is recommended that consent application 2025 B19 be approved, subject to the following conditions, on the basis that the application conforms to and is consistent with the applicable planning policies. The recommended conditions noted there are standard for a consent application. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Patton. I'll now ask the agent, Gail Andrews, if she has anything to add to the staff presentation. Ms. Andrews, please.
I do not have anything to add.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you have any comments or questions from committee members? No, seeing none. Seems fairly straightforward. Has there been anyone registered to speak to this matter?
The applicant, Stephen Relling, had also registered. If we can just double check if he would like to provide any comments.
Mr. Relling?
You're unmuted. If you can try your mic again.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes. Now we can. Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that.
No, no
Just
worries.
got into something there. Anyways, yeah, thank you, Mayor Greenlaw and Deputy Mayor Lavoie and council members. Yeah, nothing major to add. Just wanting to, as our family grows, potential. My daughter is getting married, so potential for her to be there. Mother-in-law is now on her own, or possible wife and I to reside there and sell our current home to our son there. So that's the basics of our request. Appreciate your time in this.
Thank you. Sounds like a family affair.
For sure.
Is there anyone in chambers who's come to speak to this matter? Seeing none. Any further correspondence received on the matter, Mr. Karaiskakis?
No, Mr. Chair, nothing further has been received.
Okay, thank you very much. May we hear the motion, Madam Deputy Clerk?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Shell. It is recommended, one, that DS 2025-113, Chloe Patton, Intermediate Planner, Consent Application 2025-B19, Relling 2209, Line 2 North, be received and adopted. 2, that consent application 2025-B19 be approved to permit the creation of a new rural residential lot having a lot frontage of approximately 53.3 meters, 174.9 feet, a lot depth of approximately 152.4 meters, 500.0 feet, and an area of approximately 0.8 hectares, 2.0 acres, be approved subject to the conditions as outlined in DS 2025-113. 3, that the applicants be advised of committee's decision under the Secretary Treasurer's signature.
Thank you very much for that. Any comments or questions with respect to the draft motion? Seeing none. May I call the vote, please? All in favor? The motion is carried. Please enjoy your family compound. This completes the application process and closes this hearing. The committee wishes to thank all those in attendance for your participation. A copy of the decision will be mailed to the applicant, agent, and anyone who has submitted written comments or provided oral comments during the hearing in regard to the application. With that, we move on to item 6D on the agenda. This public hearing is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act to obtain public comments with respect to the consent application 2025B04 submitted by Wayne Campbell and Noreen Cooper on lands municipally known as 547 Line 4 North. Please be advised this hearing is being digitally recorded for the creation of a public record. Only after comments are received from the public, township staff, and requested agencies will the Development Services Committee make a decision on the consent application. Madam Deputy Clerk, has there been communication received on this matter?
Correspondence received from the Township of Oro-Medonte Operations Division, October 20, Enbridge Gas, October 23rd, Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, October 27, County of Simcoe Planning Department, October 30, and Robert, Carolyn, and Andrew Campbell, dated October 31, 2025.
Thank you very much. Now I'll turn the meeting over to Catherine McCarroll, Senior Planner, who will explain the purpose and effect of the consent application and any written statement received from the applicant. Ms. McCarroll, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Lavoie. The subject property is located at 547 Line 4 North. The property is designated agricultural and greenlands in the township's official plan and zoned rural residential 2, agricultural rural, and environmental protection. And the current use of the property is both residential and agricultural. Next slide. The purpose of this consent application is the severance of a resident's surplus to a farming operation as a result of a farm consolidation. So the farmer who is interested in purchasing the retained agricultural lands owns multiple farm parcels throughout the township, one of which already contains a dwelling. Therefore, the existing dwelling would be surplus to the farming operation. And the current owners are planning on keeping the severed lands, which contains the existing dwelling, detached accessory building, and agricultural buildings. The lands to be severed are proposed to have a frontage of 238.6 meters, a depth of 154 meters, and an area of 4.5 hectares, and would be for residential and agricultural uses. And the lands to be retained would have a frontage of 321.8 meters, a depth of 1,295 meters, and an area of 42.1 hectares. And the use would be agricultural. Next slide. This is the applicant's consent sketch. So the lands to be severed are identified in red and would contain the existing dwelling, accessory building, and agricultural buildings, which are currently being used for livestock. and then the lands to be retained are identified in blue and would be vacant. Should this application be approved, one of the conditions would be that the retained lands be rezoned to prohibit future residential development. Next slide. The image on the left is an aerial photo of the property. The dwelling and detached accessory building are located in the northwest corner of the property. And then there's a couple agricultural buildings. They're hard to make it out, but they do have 2 green roofs. And then the farmland is proposed to be part of the retained lands. And then the photo on the right shows the public notice sign that was posted along Line 4 North. Next slide. The township and county official plans both show that the property is primarily designated agricultural, which is illustrated in the yellow/cream color. And then there's a portion of greenlands, which is identified in green along the north property line. And this corresponds to the location of the natural heritage features. Next slide. The map on the left-hand side shows that the majority of the property is zoned agricultural rural, which is illustrated in yellow. And then there's a section of environmental protection, which is in green, along the north lot line where the natural heritage features are located. And then the map on the right shows the natural heritage features on and adjacent to the subject lands. So our mapping indicates that there's a watercourse, floodplain, and unevaluated wetland. So the applicants obtained an environmental impact study that was peer-reviewed by our environmental consultants, and they concluded that the natural heritage features would not be negatively impacted as the result of the severance. And I just want to note that there's no buildings or structures proposed as part of this application. Next slide. These are the views looking both north and south along Line 4 North. Next slide. These are photos of the existing dwelling and the accessory building that are proposed to be located on lands to be severed. Next slide. These are photos of the existing agricultural building and livestock that are proposed to remain on the lands to be severed. So the intent of the surplus farm dwelling severance policies are to allow farmers to sever off the dwelling that is surplus to their farming operation. So in other words, a farmer can own multiple farm parcels. Each one can have a house, but they only need one house to live in. So the idea is they'd sever off the surplus dwelling. The policies restrict the size of the lands to be severed to a maximum of 1 hectare to accommodate just the dwelling, the well, septic, and the driveway. So by limiting the size, it reduces the amount of farmland taken out of production. But in this case, the applicants are proposing a lot size of approximately 4.5 hectares, and they're also proposing to keep their livestock. So based off of the proposed increase in lot size and the use of the lands for livestock, this cannot be called a residential lot. On the other hand, if this severance was viewed as an agricultural severance, it doesn't meet the policies because the policies require a minimum of 40 hectares for both the severed and retained lots if it was an agricultural severance. Next slide. The photo on the left shows the view of the lands to be severed, and this is the view from Line 4 North. And then the photo on the right shows the watercourse that runs between the dwelling and the agricultural buildings. And this is on the lands to be severed. Next slide. The photo on the left shows the farmland on the lands to be retained, and then the photo on the right shows the portion of farmland that they're proposing to keep with the severed lands, and this would be used for the livestock. Next slide. It is recommended that consent application 2025 B04 be denied on the basis that the proposed severance is not consistent with or conform to the applicable provincial, county, and township planning policies. As the severed lot is oversized and proposed to contain livestock, therefore it cannot be considered a residential lot. I'm available if there are any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. McCarroll. I now ask the agent, Jake Petrowski, who is registered to speak to the application, if he has any comments to provide or indicate anything further to the staff.
Yes, that's myself.
Oh, please, if you could come up to the microphone, announce your name, and proceed.
Yes, it's Jake Petrowski. We are the farm party involved.
You could raise the, yeah, thank you.
A bit taller than usual. Yeah, and we also own the adjacent property at 392 and Line 5 North. If you would pull up the picture where the farm directly beside it. And this is a property we also did a severance that went with a barn and was zoned kind of what I'm asking, not to the scale and size, but this barn in question is truly a surplus for our operation, as we don't do any livestock, and the barn would be a surplus in how we run our operation. And Catherine mentioned that it was the current owners would like to stay there after the farmland is severed, and that's kind of the way they've obviously been there for a long time, and that's would like to keep their horses and their barn. And it is really a beautiful heritage barn, and under our ownership it would just continue to degrade as we would not have any use for it, and it would just kind of become a nuisance for our farm operation and how we run our business. And yeah, and I also want to note that along that stretch of Line 4 North, there's about 4 properties right next to this one in question that are all 10-acre horse farms. So it's really something that's not out of the realm of that area. And we were just kind of asking for the current owners, Wayne and Noreen, to keep it that way so they can continue to live there and I can continue to farm in this area.
Thank you very much, sir. Committee members, do you have any comments or questions for the staff or agent? Mayor Greenlaw, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Lavoie. Just through you to the staff, is there an avenue that can be approached as a hobby farm, or what is the restrictions that don't allow that as a plausible option?
So through you, Deputy Mayor Lavoie, to Mayor Greenlaw, the minimum lot size for an agricultural use is 40 hectares. So unfortunately, and the 40 hectares is both for the severed and retained lands. So in this case here, the retained lands would comply with that lot size, but the severed lands would not.
Okay, so a hobby farm has to be 100 acres.
So for it to be considered a hobby farm, it'd be a maximum of 2 livestock. And so there's a few things. There's the difference between our zoning bylaw and our official plan. So our official plan policies specifically speak to the 40 hectares requirement for an agricultural use. Now our zoning bylaw hasn't been updated to reflect our OP policies. So there's a little bit of a gap between the two, but even then they don't meet the qualification for a hobby farm in our zoning bylaw anyway, because they have more than 2 horses. And the maximum for a hobby farm is 2 horses.
So I guess my question is that what prevents this from being severed off?
It's the OP policies. So the official plan policies for the agricultural severance it says specifically in ROP 40 hectares for both severed and retained lots. So they don't meet that policy in our official plan.
So the only option would be to reduce and just sever off the 1 hectare of the residential lot is the only avenue you see at this time they would have?
Correct.
Okay. That's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Bard, please.
Sorry, thank you, Deputy Mayor, through you. So there was reference given to the properties just north on line 4, and I guess this probably isn't fair to ask at this point, but how did they get to this position then? They seem to have a house at the front and then the agricultural, rural, and barns to the back. I think that's maybe the shape. So I'm just looking at the Simcoe County maps, not at the slide deck.
Okay, so through you, Deputy Mayor Lavoie, to Councillor Bard. I believe you're referring to the property that's immediately to the south. Is that correct?
Maybe I misunderstood. It looks like the 3 properties to the north of this are rural RU2 at the front and A/RU to the back, and it looks like they small exception, and then they have farms. So it's on the Simcoe maps, not in our slide deck that I'm looking at. I guess that's not fair to ask you at this point, but.
So through you, Deputy Mayor Lavoie. So just taking a quick look at our mapping and to see what our plans we have. It looks like those severances were probably created a very long time ago because we don't have an R plan on file showing when those lots were created. So they could have predated our current planning policies.
Yeah, I think that's probably the case, as many of these properties might have been severed before an official plan existed or a zoning bylaw to restrain those activities, and then, you know, lose the farmland allegedly. I certainly empathize with the circumstance or the plight we seem to be caught in here. I don't know if there's an appetite. Oh, yes, Ms. McCarroll, please. Any suggestion would be welcome.
Sorry, I just found the answer to your question. The one lot in particular was done in 1986, so it predates our current planning policies.
Yeah, that seems to be sensible.
Can I say one more thing?
Certainly, but please come up to the mic and state your name again.
So I don't know if you could look at this on record. We did a similar farm severance in size and the barns as well at 581 line 6 south. And this was about probably 10 years ago or so. It was right on the corner of line 6 and Ridge Road. It was about a 13-acre piece that we severed off the farm and included the barns. I think this was about 10 years ago. I'm just curious, when we did that, what's changed? That was passed in the past and just now it's...
Yes, Mr. Karaiskakis, please.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, a lot has changed in 10
Yeah.
years. Provincial policies have changed, and the township adopted a new official plan
Right.
to conform to new provincial policies. So the planning landscape has changed in
Right.
10 years.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know whether there's an appetite to defer this. You're anxious to acquire the lands? Is
No,
that
it can.
the
It's
concern, or?
No, it's just.
I think
been an ongoing conversation between the landowners and I. So I mean, it can be
Yes.
deferred. Yes. Yep.
Yes.
And we're currently farming and renting the land. So.
Yeah. Whereas you want to acquire the land.
Yep.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct. Okay.
Like I mentioned, we own the piece right beside it, so it just kind of makes sense for our operation.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, we all, I think, here empathize with the circumstance, and we understand how it might seem reasonable or unreasonable, depending on your point of view. So I'm not certain what purpose a deferral might satisfy, other than perhaps to avoid reapplying,
Right.
just to see if we could apply for further ideas. Mr. Spagno, Director Spagno, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Staff are just discussing what appears to be new information related to the ownership and adjacent properties. So a deferral might be the way to go in order to allow staff to take this back, take the information back, and just do a further assessment to see if there are any options. Further to Ms. McCarroll's comments, I mean, the issue that we run into is whether or not we're creating two agricultural lots with livestock. But there may be an avenue to move forward just to try to look at a different application process. But I think it would be prudent for staff to take it back, reconsider, and just provide a little bit more information to committee just in that respect.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
And provided there's no urgency on your part,
No.
or the applicant's part.
No, and the other thing I would suggest is, because we own the adjacent property right next door, like touching boundary lines, if I guess I can talk to Catherine separately, but maybe that changing the boundaries to make that one farm and keep the agricultural land with the neighboring properties. But that, yeah, like I said, that's something I can talk to Catherine about.
Thank you very much for your
thank you.
consideration. Okay, so we will defer the matter, and I'll give Madam Deputy Clerk a moment to revise the motion. Let me know when you're ready, and Councillor Shell, please.
Do we need a motion to defer?
I'd like to offer my.
You'd like to move the motion? Okay.
I'd like to move the motion.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. Thank you, sir.
And is there a seconder, please?
Councillor Hutchison will second.
Thank you. Moved by Shell, seconded by Hutchison. It is recommended that consent application 2025B04, Campbell and Cooper, to create a new lot consisting of a severed parcel having an area of approximately 4.5 hectares, 11.0 acres, and a frontage of approximately 238.6 meters, 682.8 feet, and a retained parcel having a lot area of approximately 42.1 hectares, 104.0 acres, and a frontage of approximately 321.8 meters, 1,055.85 feet, be deferred to provide the applicants the opportunity for further discussion with the planning staff on the application.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Clerk. And I think we do have to go back a bit. I just want to confirm that there's no one else registered to speak on the matter, number one.
That's correct. There were no additional registrations received.
And no one else has come to chambers to speak to this matter? Okay, seeing no one, I just want to confirm that. And Mr. Karaskakis, has there been any further correspondence received on this matter? So
No, Mr. Chair, nothing further has been received on this application.
Just to make sure we take care of the procedural fairness aspects of this hearing. Does anybody have any questions with regard to the motion, proposed motion? Thank you very much. We've heard it. And may I call the vote, please? All in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you very much, and thank you very much for your patience on this matter. So this defers the application process and closes this hearing for the time being. Committee wishes to thank everybody for their attendance and participation, and the decision will be mailed out to the applicant, agent, and anyone who has submitted written comments or provided oral comments during the hearing in regard to the application. So that closes the hearings for this evening. And with that, we will move on to the reports of municipal officers, and may we have the motion for item 7A, please?
Moved by Shell, seconded by Clark. It is recommended that DS 2025-117, Camille Bertna, Manager, Development Engineering, Re-Security Reduction Request, Eagles Rest Subdivision, Registered Plan 51M1268, Eagles Rest Estates, Inc., as a general partner for and on behalf of Eagles Rest Limited Partnership, be received for information only.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any comments or questions with regard to this report? No, seeing none, then may I call the vote, please? All in favor? Thank you very much. The motion is carried. May we have a motion for item 7B, please?
Moved by Young, seconded by Hutchison, and B, it is recommended that 1 DS 2025-115, George Fedabuncourt, Manager, Planning, Special Projects, Rezoning Bylaw Amendment Application 2025 ZBA 20, Kane, 1246 Horseshoe Valley Road East, be received and adopted. 2, that zoning bylaw amendment application 2025 ZBA 20, specifically to permit a detached accessory dwelling on lands known municipally as 1246 Horseshoe Valley Road East, Township of Oro-Medonte, be approved. 3, that staff bring forth the appropriate draft bylaw for council's consideration. And 4, that the applicant be advised of the decision under the Director of Development Services signature.
Members of the committee, any comments, questions with regard to this report? Seeing none, may I call the vote, please? All in favor? The motion is carried. May we have a motion for item 7C, please?
Moved by Clark, seconded by Greenlaw. It is recommended, one, that DS 2025-120, Andy Karaskakis, Manager, Planning Services, rezoning bylaw amendment application 2025 ZBA 33, Quagmire Holdings Limited, 118 Line 6 South, be received and adopted. 2, that zoning bylaw amendment application 2025 ZBA 33, specifically to rezone the subject lands from the agricultural rural ARU zone to the agricultural rural exception 376 ARU 376 zone to permit a detached accessory residential dwelling unit be approved as follows. Permit a detached accessory residential dwelling unit, permit a maximum height of 7.0 meters, 23.0 feet, permit a maximum gross floor area of 353.0 square meters, 3,800.0 square feet. 3, that staff bring forth the appropriate draft bylaw for council's consideration. 4, that the applicant be advised of committee's decision under the Director, Development Services signature.
Thank you very much for that. Members of committee, the floor is open for any comments or questions with regard to the report. Am I hearing any? I see none. With that, may I call the vote, please? All in favor? Motion is carried. May we please have a motion for item 7D?
Moved by Bard, seconded by Young. It is recommended, 1, that DS 2025-080, Brent Spagno, Director, Development Services, rezoning bylaw amendment application 2025 ZBA 16, Heritage Winery Estate, 421 Penetanguishene Road, be received and adopted. 2, that zoning bylaw amendment application 2024 ZBA 16, specifically to rezone a portion of the subject lands from the agricultural rural ARU zone to the agricultural rural exception 264 hold ARU 264H zone on the lands municipally known as 421 Penetanguishene Road, Township of Oro-Medonte, be approved. 3, that staff bring forth the appropriate draft bylaw for council's consideration. And 4, that the applicant be advised of committee's decision under the Director, Development Services signature.
Thank you very much for that. Members of the committee, any comments or questions with regard to the application? Seeing none, I may call the vote, please. All in favor? The motion is carried. May we have a motion for item 7E?
Moved by Greenlaw, seconded by Bard. It is recommended, 1, that DS 2025-118, Chloe Patton, Intermediate Planner, rezoning bylaw amendment application 2025 ZBA 37, Estaden and Biodets 1753 Ridge Road West, be received and adopted. 2, that zoning bylaw amendment application 2025 ZBA 37, specifically to rezone a portion of the subject lands from the agricultural rural ARU zone to the agricultural rural exception 378 ARU 378 zone to permit the construction of a second story on the existing one-story detached accessory building garage that exceeds the maximum provisions for height and floor area, be approved as follows. To permit a maximum height of 7.5 meters, 24.7 feet, to permit a maximum floor area of 156.4 square meters, 1,683.8 square feet. 3, that staff bring forth the appropriate draft bylaw for council's consideration. 4, that the applicants be advised of committee's decision under the Director, Development Services signature.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions, members of the committee, with regard to this report? Seeing none, may I call the vote? All in favor? The motion is carried. And last but not least, may you please have a motion for item 7F?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Shell. It is recommended, 1, that DS 2025-123, Andy Karaskakis, Manager, Planning Services, reconsent applications 2024 B21 and 2024 B22, Concession 5, Part Lot 21, Parts 2 and 3, 23 to 29, part of Parts 4 and 5 on Reference Plan 51R 23263, Oro, be received and adopted. 2, that consent applications 2024 B21 and 2024 B22 to permit the creation of 2 new industrial lots on lands described as Concession 5, Part Lot 21, Parts 2 and 3, 23 to 29, part of Parts 4 and 5 on reference Plan 51R 23263 Oro be approved, subject to the conditions as outlined in DS 2025-123. 3, that the applicants be advised of committee's decision under the Secretary-Treasurer's signature.
Thank you very much. The floor is open to the committee for questions or comments. Seeing none, may I call the vote, please? All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to staff for all the work they did in preparation of those reports and previous hearings and meetings. With that, I'd like to announce December 3rd as the next exciting day for our Development Services Committee meeting, so please tune in. And with that, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Moved by Young, seconded by Clark. It is recommended that we do now adjourn at 7:46 p.m.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. May I have any questions with regard to the motion? I'm seeing none. No. May I call the vote, please? All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you very much, everyone, and we will continue now with the council meeting following the Development Services Committee meeting. Mr. Mayor, please.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. I'd like to call this council meeting to order. May we please have the motion to adopt the agenda, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Clark, seconded by Lavoie. Be it resolved that the agenda for the council meeting of Wednesday, November 5th, 2025 be received and adopted.
All in favor? That is carried. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest at this time? Seeing none, may we have a motion for the draft minutes of the previous council meeting, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Young, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that the draft minutes of the council meeting held on Wednesday, October 1st, 2025 be received and adopted as printed and circulated.
Are there any changes to the draft minutes anyone has? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. May we have a motion to approve the recommendations of tonight's meeting, please?
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Hutchison. Be it resolved that the recommendations of the Development Services Committee meeting held on Wednesday, November 5th, 2025 be adopted.
All in favor? That is carried. May we have a motion for the draft bylaws, please?
Moved by Bard, seconded by Shell. Be it resolved that bylaw numbers 2025-103, 2025-105, 2025-106, and 2025-111 be passed in open council on the 5th day of November, 2025.
Are there any questions regarding the draft bylaws? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. And may we have a motion of the confirmation bylaw, please?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Clark. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-112, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting on Wednesday, November 5th, be passed in open council on the 5th day of November, 2025.
All in favor? That is carried. May we have a motion to adjourn, please?
Moved by Shell, seconded by Young. Be it resolved that we do now adjourn at 7:48 p.m.
All in favor? That is carried. Thank you much, everyone, and have a great evening.